Alright guys, Papa Pepper here, just kind of winging this one. If you hear some little peeping and cheeping, it's our guinea fowl Keats. They're over there in the room with me. Just kind of felt like making this video because of some stuff that's happened lately on steemit. Many of you guys are probably familiar with what happened with Darth Nava, that he had these medical bills, an MRI didn't come back so good. He was facing some serious expenses, and he reached out to the community, and I mean, amazingly, that post eventually paid out total at like 17,000 something. He got a good portion of that before many of us ever knew anything like that was going to happen. We also chose to donate to it. I think I may have donated more than anyone else, but others like Ben Jojo and stuff donated a lot as well. Total, yes, I donated 1,000 steam, which depending on the price of various things is pretty much, you know, 2,500 bucks, maybe more, maybe less, depending on the fluctuation of price. Pretty much, you know, gave the guy a Bitcoin. And, you know, a lot of people messaged me about it. A lot of people asked questions about it. I said, do you even know this guy? And stuff like this. I said, no, I don't know him, just from steemit. And people are like, why would you do something like that, Papa? A lot of people, too, mentioned just, I mean, there was like 4 or 5, maybe more people just saying, you know, that they literally cried when they saw that. And a lot of people said, you know, a lot of things about me. A lot of, wow, Papa, you're so amazing, you're the man, all this stuff, you know. I'm a man, I'll agree to that much. And then some of you guys may be familiar too with what happened with Rich Q11. Pretty much 71-year-old guy on steemit. Ran into some hard times. He's got some money on steemit, but he doesn't know how to turn it into cash. He's got a Bittrex account, Coinbase account, but he doesn't have a Shift card. He doesn't have a bank account. It's like, you know, I'm starving here, he says. How can I turn this into, you know, something I can spend in time for me to buy some food? So I found out about that, realized he was serious, and, you know, drove my family, which me and Mama Pepper and our 5 little peppers. It's supposed to be a 2.5-hour trip. Obviously, it takes longer, just even with a wife sometimes, much less 5 kids. So we drove out, made up with him, paid him more than it was worth. He just transferred some SBD to my account, and, you know, I paid him cash for it. You know, bless the guy. It was, you know, over 600 bucks, you know, worth of just USD handed over to him, and, you know, met up with him just for a moment, and then we, you know, came back this way. Picked up the Keats on the way back and did some other things too, but, and again, people are like, wow, this is so amazing, you know, why would you, you're so caring, you're so loving, you're so generous, these types of things. And really, if you look at life, if you look at people, if you meet somebody now, like you guys have known about me for a year tops, since I joined last July, it's June now. I'm 36 years old. You know, there's 35 years of life you guys don't have a clue about other than what I've shared. It's kind of like if you meet someone and they're really physically fit, and everyone says, wow, look at how nice and physically fit this person is. And let's say they spent decades just extremely overweight. They've got a choice then. They can say, yes, I'm very fit. You're right, very fit. Or they can say, you know what, I haven't always been this way. And there's a reason there's a difference. There's a reason why I am so fit now, even though you may not know, but I was really, you know, overweight before. Or if somebody has, you know, an extremely nice complexion, and that's when they meet everyone. Everyone says, wow, you have the best skin. It's so smooth, so, you know, whatever people do with stuff like that. And let's say they always suffered with really severe acne, you know, all through their teens, into their 20s, into their 30s. But nobody knows this when they meet them now. Now they could say, oh yes, you know, I have wonderful skin. Look at it. It's so great. Or they could say, you know, it wasn't always this way. And there's a reason that something's different. For those of you guys who don't know, I haven't always lived this way. I haven't always been like this. By the time I pretty much got turned over to myself in life, you know, when I was heading up towards 18 and moving out and that type of stuff, I mean, I became a very wicked man. I would lie continuously and constantly about everything. I would steal a lot. Stores, people, whatever. You know, if I wanted it, I took it. Became a very immoral man. Relationships did not mean a lot to me. Was not a faithful man by any means. I was not a trustworthy man. I wasn't a good guy to have around. Perhaps I could liven a party up or make people, laugh or do stuff like that, but the second their back was turned, I would steal their alcohol, steal their drugs, steal their women, whatever it was. I used to have a shirt I made for myself. It said lie, cheat, and steal. It's kind of how I live my life. And of course, we all like to convince ourselves that, well, we're good people, But I'd pretty much given myself over where I was drunk and high every day, messed up on many things every day. Couldn't really live without, marijuana, cigarettes, alcohol. And I went on from there, did a lot of cocaine on a daily basis, a lot of other drugs too. And it's how I live my life, constantly messed up. Running around from party to party, job to, whatever. I got fired from jobs before just for doing drugs on the job or, just staying home doing drugs rather than going to work. Never wanted to be a husband. Never wanted to be a father. Like I said, I wasn't faithful in relationships. And I certainly did not want any child to have that responsibility. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. I wanted to serve myself. Pretty much whatever made me feel good at the moment. And I really did not care who I hurt. Thankfully, I made it through all that life. But that's the way I lived. It's the way I lived for a very long time. Like I said, I was wicked. I was evil. I was bad news, and I was, very greedy. And I didn't care about others. It was pretty much, what can I get from them? What can I get from them? So now when people see me, in a relationship with my wife, we're approaching our 10-year wedding anniversary. Faithful. When people see me loving and teaching my little peppers, my 5 children now, it's not the life I would have chose for myself. When people see me giving of myself to others, of my resources to others, it's the opposite of how I was on my own. And just even being kind, caring about other people, it's not the life I live. So much like an overweight person who gets really fit, or somebody who had a lot of acne, skin conditions, who suddenly has this nice complexion. There's a reason that I'm no longer the way that I was, and that I am the way that I am now. And when I met Mama Pepper, I was afraid of her because I knew I could really go for her. She was kind of like my dream woman, and I didn't want to get hurt. I preferred not to care. Use people while you could and move on, because it's easier than caring and really giving yourself and opening yourself up to the possibility of feeling very strongly and getting hurt very much. And we decided to get married. And we walked into church, 'cause that's what people do to get married. The pastor there said, well, there's 3 reasons I can't marry you. He says, 1, I'm busy the day you guys have in mind. And we were getting married on the 1-year anniversary of us starting dating. So we weren't changing our date. Second reason, he said, is you'd have to quit cohabiting. We were living together, sleeping together, just like people do these days, So you'd have to stop doing that. He says, God made a place for sex, it's in marriage. And then he said you'd have to go through 10 weeks of pre-marriage counseling. Pre-marriage counseling? A lot of us know what marriage counseling is. That's when 2 people who used to be really in love with each other can't stand each other anymore, and they try to bring it back together now. Pre-marriage counseling is trying to sort through all those issues ahead of time, so that way when you reach them later, you can deal with them. And for some reason, that was 3 reasons to walk out. We weren't changing our date. Who wants to stop living and sleeping together? And 10 weeks of pre-marriage counseling. That was 3 reasons to walk out, especially for a guy like I was then. And somehow I came back with, well, even if you can't marry us because we're not changing our date, can we still go through with that? If God made man, God made woman, marriage is his idea, what's he got to say about it? So we did. Went through that pre-marriage counseling. The first time we came, the guy looked at me and he said, if you were to die right now, where would you go? I said, well, heaven. He says, why is that? I said, well, I'm a good person. And then he showed me the law. The law of God, the Ten Commandments. And I couldn't deny it. I mean, how many people do you have to murder to be a murderer? One. So how many lies do you have to tell to be a liar? How many things do you have to steal to be a thief? And I saw how completely wicked I had become. I mean, the things I was doing were not good. Marrying me would have been the worst thing that would have ever happened to Mama Pepper. Like, hands down. Even when I found out somebody liked me there and it was her, I said, well, she must be young and she must be new, because if she was older or she worked here longer, she would know what she was dealing with. She'd have more sense than to know to get involved with me. So once I saw my guilt, because we deceive ourselves, we all think we're good people, but if we're honest about it, we're selfish. We do what we want to do often, and who cares about anyone else? It was at that point that Jesus Christ finally made sense. Him dying for my sin and paying that price for me, and it made sense at that point. And I remember him even I began to seek out the Lord, and he revealed to me that if serving myself and being constantly messed up all the time and living this deceitful, thieving, just messed up life was more important to me than he was, that he wasn't important enough to me. And I said, you're asking of me what I can't give you. I can't change me. When I used to live in New Orleans, I got in trouble with the police in Florida. I was facing multiple felonies. I was looking at probably prison time. And they gave me pretrial diversion, which meant, amongst other things, I had to stay sober. I couldn't stay sober. I would constantly drink and smoke and do other things, even though I knew it would land me in a cage. I said, I've had all the encouragement this world has to offer. I can't give you what you're asking of me. I can't live that life. I don't have that power. And, Jesus promised that he could change me. He said, if you want me different, you're going to have to. And I began to ask him for help. Because the man I had turned myself into would not be a good husband, would not be a good father, wouldn't be doing the things you see me doing on steemit. I wouldn't be giving to others. I wouldn't be driving across the state to go, help some 71-year-old guy. I mean, who cares? God cares. And, he's the one in control of my life now. So I just felt like sharing this because, the praise, the greatness, it doesn't belong to me. I know me. I know how I was. But there's one much greater than me who can work in me and through me. And, to him be the glory. Because he's the one who made me, I don't want to say worth something, but useful, beneficial, a blessing. I didn't turn myself into a blessing. I turned myself into a curse, and I cursed a lot of people. I left a big wake of destruction in this life. And, praise God, I don't have to destroy my own life anymore. The life of my wife or the life of my children. And the jerk I turn me into doesn't have to, be the husband, doesn't have to be the father in those situations. But the man that God is making me. So whether you guys, whatever your spiritual beliefs are, whatever you believe, whatever you think, you're free to do whatever you want. I'm just going to force you to do anything else, but I just want you to know that if you appreciate Papa Pepper, and what he's up to, how he is, and what he's done, there's a reason. And the reason's not me. Thank you guys. Papa out.